I believe that Starfield, it's a great game, but potentially it could be an even greater hub. And welcome to episode 29 of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Michael, and I am here with Duane. Duane, how are you doing today?
Michael, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear. Have I said that before?
No, that's new.
Okay,
That's
a
brand
classic Cheers line, for us olds.
Oh yeah, Cheers.
That was a
Yeah, I
norm,
remember.
a norm line. He always had a one-liner when he walked into Cheers. I kind of wanted to be like Norm, just always have a one-liner ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. I think Norm is definitely someone we can all look up to, for sure.
If you were a character in Cheers, which character would you be?
You're wildly overestimating my knowledge of Cheers.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well, how about this?
Yeah.
Let's go 90s. What about Friends? Are you more Chandler or are you more Ross?
Oh.
Or are you more Joey?
Yeah.
Or are you more Rachel? I mean, I don't know,
That's true. It could be one of them. No, let's see. Definitely not Joey. He's too confident. Maybe Ross definitely has all the anxiety that I've got, but I definitely I spent a good chunk of my life being a smartass. So probably I'd go with Chandler. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Chandler Bing. Which one are you?
Oh man, I'd have to go with Chandler as well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely kind of dorky like David Schwimmer, like tall and dorky like he was. A whole lot less anxiety though.
Yeah.
And he also had quite a few quips.
Right. Yeah.
Although Joey was the most lovable. And this concludes your Friends discussion. We'll conclude it now. We won't go any further. I know people are like, oh my God, Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week we'll talk about which Sex and the City character we are.
Oh, my wife dragged me to Sex and the City 2. I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness. That was one of my worst memories in a theater. There wasn't much redeeming about that movie in the theater for me personally.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
I saw the poster and that was enough for me. But
Hey, there was an update for Starfield that came out.
Well, if you're on Steam, you can get the beta version of the update.
That's right.
This update has so many fixes. Honestly, the change log for this update was incredibly very complete. I mean, sure, there's like one or two things that aren't on there, but there is a lot that they're fixing. So I really appreciate that.
Me too.
One of the biggest things that I'm so happy about is they're fixing the left head turn looking, and we're all very familiar with it.
Talking about it in Discord like 2 weeks ago, and it's so funny because like a week later, this was a fix. It's almost like they heard you.
Yeah. Oh, finally. It's one of those things where from day one, I remember that magic of like playing a brand new game. It's a new Bethesda game, and I play third person, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And my character just kept looking left, and I was just like, what is going on?
Talk about getting a crick in your neck. Ouch.
Yeah. It's like, dude, is somebody following you? Like, what's happening?
You know how like when your mom plays Nintendo, and this is not derogatory, by the way, she'll move the controller around when she's like jumping over, things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you start turning your head left as you're playing the game because your character is turning left the whole time. Did you find yourself doing that or no?
No,
Okay,
nothing like that.
Yeah.
But
you're a seasoned gamer.
Least,
It's not like you're brand new to gaming. You can hold your head.
I wouldn't be doing that.
A normal position. Yeah.
It's funny though, because that does remind me of, I think in the days of like Tomb Raider, where you would, the old days of Tomb Raider, you had to be very precise, like to get to secret rooms. It would be like climb up a full rung and then climb down a half rung, hold back, do a backflip jump, grab the ledge. Like it was crazy like that. And so as you would be preparing a jump, I think I would sort of like crane my neck up a little bit, like I wanted to look over the edge of the cliff.
That's actually how I exit my car on a daily basis too. That's funny you mentioned that. But yeah, I remember doing that too. You're like, sometimes when you're walking up a ladder and you get to a ledge, you kind of do this thing where you like you lift your head and your shoulders as if you're peeking over that ledge in real life. I do find myself doing that.
Actually, this reminds me, this is really off topic, but it's concerning the whole craning your neck thing. So in the movie Rosemary's Baby, the cinematographer was like, you've got like most of the doorway blocking this shot. Like he kept wanting to move so that you could see Rosemary in the door frame. Mm-hmm. And the director, who I'm just not going to name his name, but
Alan Smithy.
Yeah, that's right, Alan Smithy.
Mm-hmm.
He had him. No, he's like, no, keep the camera here, and like you could barely see the actor, doing her thing. And then the cinematographer, when the movie premiered, he saw everyone in the theater craning their neck to the right to see around the doorway. Mm-hmm. And it was like this moment where he understood like why that choice was made.
Mm-hmm. It's the classic, the less we see Jaws, the more afraid we are of Jaws.
Yep. But yeah, I'm very excited for this update. But yeah, there's quite a few things in here, especially for photo mode. Mm-hmm. People that enjoy doing photo mode, I am one of those. They've added a bunch of different facial expressions to your character.
That for me is the biggest part of this update. And especially for us, because we have our Starfield Adventure Club. This is going to change the landscape of that whole club. Honestly.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
I've been wanting to get in there and do a report or whatever, do a little story. And I'm glad I kind of waited, not waited, just couldn't get around to it earlier. But now I'm going to have facial expressions. That's going to be awesome. I mean, there's so much you can say in a picture versus having to explain it, It's great.
It honestly reminds me of this one time that I was getting a screenshot of like it was Sarah Morgan in battle, like she had her gun out, she was firing, and I by complete accident managed to click pause right when she had sort of a rough expression on her face, like an angry expression on her face while she was shooting. And I remember it was such a lucky thing because you don't get that very often. And so now that you'll be able to just do that anytime, like, oh, I'm in battle, pause, and then put on a grimace, I
was just going to say, have you tried the new grimace shake from McDonald's?
It's funny because that was this year, right? But in internet years, that's like a decade ago.
It was a long time ago in internet years. What is grimace anyway? Is he like a dot? Oh. Remember those dot candies?
Oh, like...
He looks like a purple...
I love dot candies, but yeah. He does look like that. I don't know what he's supposed to be, though.
Yeah, because like the Hamburglar is a cheeseburger, And, wasn't there some kind of bird?
He steals cheeseburgers. There was a cheeseburger character.
Oh, yeah.
No. Yeah. You're thinking of, they had like a police officer, like a British police officer that's a cheeseburger also. I don't know what. Dude, people were doing drugs in the 80s. Like, let's just be real. There was a lot of drug use.
There's a lot of nightmare fodder from the McDonald's characters of the 80s. But they have made a lot of fixes. I didn't bother to read through the full. I mean, they have, 50 fixes just for art.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more like 200. I'm scrolling. There's a million art fixes. Then they have gameplay.
Yeah.
There's another 150, 200. Then there's graphics. Then there's outposts, quests. I mean, this is a big, big update. And, I think they were clever enough to add the features on top of this. Yeah. And, that's something for everybody that's not just fixing bugs,
Yeah, it is a good thing to have these features with these big updates.
The scanner where you can open doors and harvest with the scanner open. I mean, that's a big improvement in my mind because it's kind of clunky switching back and forth. So that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. What's funny too is I am happy about this because some things you could harvest with the scanner, but other things you couldn't. Mm-hmm. And so it was really annoying to be like, oh, which things can I do with the scanner open and not?
You had to get to a dead end gameplay wise before you knew what to do. For instance, you get to something that you could harvest, you have to automatically test if you can harvest it with the scanner open. No, okay, go ahead and close the scanner. Like there was this logic tree that you had to follow in your gameplay in order just to do a simple task. So yeah, I'm glad that's gone.
I also a little, this is like a little minor tip, but something that I've noticed recently as I was out on a very bright planet. So I was on this very deserty planet, and the star there was just super bright, and the sky is just total whiteout, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that when you bring up the scanner, it actually dims the whole screen slightly, just slightly.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of cool because I thought, oh wow, like on bright planets, you can sort of activate the scanner almost like wearing sunglasses.
It's your own little sunglasses.
It's yeah.
Is it weird that there's no, Tatooine's like dual star systems?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's probably not a thing to have planets orbiting stars. We need an astrophysicist in here. So stars that, orbit each other probably don't have, other rocky or gas planets around either one of those. If they did, they'd probably get destroyed. I don't know. Interesting question.
Well, see, and here's the thing. So Star Wars, of course, has the 2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the game No Man's Sky, they added a lot, like you could find a system that's 2 stars. You could find a system that has 3 stars. So that was the max.
Right.
And it was a little bit rare, but I don't know. I found them pretty consistently.
You could find a podcast that has 4.9 stars.
That's right. That's
Thanks
right.
to you. Woo. It does happen. So there's 2 instances, don't hold me to this, but I'm going back 20 years from my astronomy class. But there are stars that orbit black holes, like in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. There's a bunch of stars swirling around our black hole. And then there are several instances of stars orbiting each other and eventually colliding. They're in different stages of being far away, getting sucked into each other's gravity, orbiting, and then eventually, colliding. So,
but do they have planets?
I mean, they probably would, because if, over trillions of years, whatever, billions of years, they could have drug, along their own systems, and then...
That's true.
So, and I remember in other science fiction, like I think in a Star Trek movie, there was an instance of a rocky planet that was caught in a star system like that was, going to get torn apart by gravitational pull or something. I don't know.
So
again, we need an astrophysicist on the podcast here so we can get the truth.
We do. It could be interesting if in future DLC, like there's one very special system that has 2 stars. Maybe there are implications like that could be explored, like big time issues with gravity. And I mean, man, one of the coolest things in No Man's Sky was people would, like, they updated the game to like add more planets, and sometimes, because of how random the game is, sometimes the planets would be so close to each other, or sometimes intersecting, and every planet has its own gravity. So to this game's credit, for No Man's Sky, I've seen some amazing videos where someone will jump off of this planet and jetpack all the way out of the gravitational pull and into the gravitational pull of the other planet. And the physics do get weird because the game's not meant to do this. So then they're all like, they're not standing up straight. They're all tilted and whatnot. But just the fact that you could jetpack away from one planet and onto another was already very impressive. Yeah. And it just makes the game bug out. So it's just like, yeah, really, there could be something there for a future DLC in a Starfield.
They probably had like a document that was like, all right, these other anomalies do exist, but we're not going to include any of them. We're going to basically say that, hey, humans looked at other systems that were habitable, and that's where they settled, and that's where you can travel to in the game. That's the lore of the game.
Yeah. Which I like. I like that it keeps it somewhat grounded. And I know it's weird to say that it's grounded because you do have the artifacts and like the magic powers, which is not very grounded. But
it's a video game.
Outside of that, it's a video game. And I totally get why it's there. I think it's it'll be interesting because I know that there will be not just mods, but I'm sure there will be like story starts, like alternate starts, mods and stuff that creation kit is what I was trying to think of, that basically keep the game grounded. That's what I like, is there is a groundedness to it, so that if you avoid the artifact storyline, you have a very grounded story.
Right. It feels
So,
like
like,
the future of humanity. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and that also reminds me of like people saying that they wish the game was more like Mass Effect. They're like, oh, I wish there were, a bunch of different alien races and stuff. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love Mass Effect, one of my favorite. Love Star Wars, although I'm getting sick of it. Thanks, Disney, for that. But we already have seen that. Like, I love this story. Like you said, it feels like this could be the future of humanity, colonizing space, colonizing other planets. It's not, it just feels more real.
Yeah. One thing that they added as a feature was it doesn't cost you a digipick for using undo during the security minigame. I love that one because
I was so happy to see that.
It seemed very, punitive and like silly. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't spend a whole lot of time searching each desk and everything. So I don't get that many digipicks.
Yep.
I mean, I get a few. I'll usually have 3 or 4 on me. Sometimes it's only one if I just did a puzzle and then I get to another puzzle and I'm SOL. So I do like to see this feature added.
I was really happy about that too. And I've seen people bring up that they're like, oh, it's actually really easy to stock up on digipicks.
Mm-hmm.
It is and it's not. So like, if I'm thinking about it, like during times where I'm like, I want to unlock lots of stuff, so you can buy digipicks from many shops.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost never think about that. And so
Agreed.
I'm kind of like you, where I'll see some digipicks and I'll pick them up, but I'm not searching super hard. So yeah, I agree with that. If I am not spending lots of time making sure I'm stocked on digipicks, I'm running out all the time.
And the people that say, oh, digipicks are plentiful, guess what? They're probably really good at the security minigame.
Yeah.
Some of us suck at that game, all right? I hate to admit it, but I'm not terrible at it, honestly. But sometimes you just get in the game and you're like spinning the thing, and then you're like, oh, I didn't want to look too far ahead. I didn't want to put too much brain power in it, and that ended up costing me a digipick, because I was being lazy or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you can like look at the inner rings and plan out. You can do that, but I'm not trying to. That's not the kind of night I'm trying to have when I'm playing Starfield. But also, you talk about it not being super easy of a mini game. A lot of the improvements that come from upgrading lockpicking is how it gets to be easier. And so I'm actually in defense of what you're saying, where if you haven't put your perk points in there, the digipick minigame can be kind of difficult, because
as it should be. You're right.
Yeah. If
you don't have the points.
Yeah. Have you put any points in lockpicking?
I have 1 point in there because I knew it was one of the first ones I did, because I knew based on other Bethesda games that I would be picking a lot of locks, or I'd be wanting to.
Right.
So I was like, let me put an early point in there, and I haven't put any in since. Although lately I've just been skipping that and focusing more on melee stuff and just not worrying about all that. I do feel like there will be a point in my game when I want to go in and open every door and explore every, opening.
Well, I was going to say that when, I don't remember which point it is, but at some point you put in a perk point, and it will actually color the rings blue.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah, if like that option will work for it. So that's really helpful. But I like that you don't have to lockpick. Like, you can play the game and not lockpick and you're just fine. In fact, and I know a lot of people felt this way, for a while it started to feel like lockpicking didn't give you much at all in terms of like quality items and finds. I think that has changed. I think they've tweaked it because lately I've been like opening safes again and been pretty happy with, not that I'm getting anything amazing, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good amount of money and some ammo and there's a nice pickup, So I feel like it's improved.
You should be getting like
yeah,
at least 400 or 500 credits, if not 1,200 cred stick in a safe, I feel like. Or at least something.
Yeah, depending on what level of lock it is.
True.
But yeah, that's what I'm getting usually. And I'm finding that like a master lock, not always, but usually has a pretty good like legendary item. Maybe like a rare legendary item. So yeah, it's been pretty worth it. But yeah, you don't need to. You just don't have to do that.
Anything else you want to talk about for features or fixes in this beta that's currently out? It'd probably be by the time, later this week or maybe middle of next week, it's probably going to be available for Xbox and
probably be out soon.
Yeah. Photo mode, though. Photo mode's awesome.
I am excited for that. Yep. So on the No Sodium Starfield subreddit, there's this really funny post from Blazing Bacon. And Blazing Bacon discovered something that looks like aliens engaged in some sort of like cult ritual.
Ooh, okay.
And yeah, I have to say, part of me says, well, this has to be a glitch, but I'm just not sure. It's just weird enough that it almost could be a scripted event. But basically what he sees are these sort of like tall alien animal creatures. So alien fauna on this planet. They're all sort of facing the same direction and they're grouped up. And there's just this like ominous, like wah, 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 like chanting sound. And it just like, I don't know. Like I've never seen something like this in the game. So right away, like I said, I think it's a glitch, but man, it's just weird enough that it like could almost be in there on purpose.
Yeah, they might summon Xenu out of the volcano or something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hope so.
Animals in nature do a lot of really weird things that, we've mostly uncovered through study. But I mean, there are instances I can think of in the natural world where animals congregate and they do these mating rituals or other types of rituals that seem very odd until we get to the bottom of the reason, why they do it.
Right.
And then it makes sense. So I wonder if...
I mean, bees do like friggin' dances and stuff to show the other bees where flowers can be found.
Bees for everyone. But yeah. I wonder if Bethesda programmed in any kind of... I mean, obviously they programmed in behavior for the fauna to interact with each other.
Yeah.
So there could be individual without other fauna interacting with this particular fauna. They could have instincts or whatever programmed in that do cool stuff, or they really could be performing an alien ritual. So
yeah,
who knows? What planet? Does he say what planet was on? Maybe we should make that a SAC planet, and people could go see if they could be part of the ritual.
Oh, I found it. Yes. So somebody asked what planet was it, and he said that it was Gunaboo 2 in the swamps. Gunaboo 2.
Gus, your wife is a Goonie Goo Goo. That was a
Gunaboo 2.
Eddie Murphy reference.
What is that? Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I agree. I was looking around for a good place to put an outpost recently, and Gunaboo did come up in my travels.
Oh, it did? You actually should have chose.
It.
You did? Okay, you should have chosen Goonie Goo because the outpost that you set up turned out to be Alaska in the winter, right?
Oh, man. Dude, so yes, horrible night the other day. So I'm playing Starfield. And I'm like fully into outpost building now. So this is what I want to do. And what happened is
wait a second. As we said on our Patreon exclusive episode that we just released, we found out that you're now in the old man era of Starfield by now working on Outpost. You've already
Just
passed the
working
other
on my
phases.
Outpost.
Like
Yep.
early 20s is like
But
the love
the
story. Before that's like
battles.
the action.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you're in the
Yep.
old man territory. So anyway, continue.
I'm fully in old man territory. So I'm like, I want to build an outpost. And so I'm going from planet to planet. And then finally I find this planet that's pretty cool. And I was like, all right, let me just settle down. And I start building. I'm building at night and it's fine. I can see, but I didn't plan on jumping to daytime yet because sometimes I'll do that. Because I still was so low on resources that I needed to go to other planets. So I go there, I start building, I go to another planet and I build an aluminum mine and set up set up the outpost link,
Right.
so that it will send that. So I'm telling you, man, I put in like 3 hours of work, easy. I set up this outpost link to cargo link to send aluminum to this other place. I go there, set up the link to receive. Okay, cool. After a while, I'm like putting up lights because it's dark. And I then go, wait a minute. Okay. I just want it to be daytime now. Like I'm getting tired of the darkness. I've got enough supplies to build. Let me do this. I go in, I sit down on the couch, I face the camera towards the window so I can see outside, and I wait. My standard is 6 a.m. because most planets, the sun will come up at 6. And then, dude, still dark. Okay, that's fine. 7, 8, still dark. 9, still dark. The sun comes up at 11 and sets at 11:30. I was so... I honestly
goodness.
sat there. I sat there stunned, looking at the screen, going, "Did I just spend 3 hours building an outpost on a place that gets no sunlight?" It was funny too.
You know, the fauna there mostly comes out at night. Mostly.
Mostly. It was really funny too because I could see the sun, like I could see the sun disk come up over the mountain. And instead, I was laughing at myself because instead of going up, it peaks up and then it goes to the left and starts going back down again. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
The planets, you know, from orbit, you can do the planet scan and you can pick your landing spot.
Yeah.
They lied to you because you
Total
posted the
BS.
picture. It was like full sunlight. It was on the side of the planet. Like there's no way to tell the rotation unless you put boots on the ground and stand there for 24 hours and see where the sun goes across the sky. That would be really the only way. So that could be, hey, another feature that they could add in the future is like, hey, where are you?
Fix that. Yeah. They could definitely fix like the poles and like showing where the sun's hitting it because
there are no poles shown, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But it's clear like they have. Yeah, I don't think they show a pole. You sort of assume based on where the shadow is hitting the sun, or where the shadow and sun is hitting the planet. It's clear that they have a realistic, portrayal of how the sun hits because, like you had mentioned before we came on the podcast, how this was like being in Alaska in the winter, right? Like it gets very little sun. The sun sort of comes up and goes back down. And so, like, to their credit, we're getting this realistic version of like where the sun is.
You're clearly very close to, well, let's think about this from a physics standpoint. There's no seasons in the game. So they haven't programmed in the tilt of the pole on the planet because that's what gives us our seasons. So every planet in the game is essentially on a 90-degree pole. That's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, but I do hope in the future they just update like how you see it in the galaxy
that
map.
would change everything in terms of like where to build if you were worried about sunlight, right?
And because I actually think a lot of people would want to find something like this. Like some people might think, oh my gosh, Michael, you're so lucky you found like an Alaska thing. Like it's always nighttime. you get a little bit of sunrise, sunset, and then it's nighttime again. And some people would be looking for that. So I don't know, maybe I should hold on to it because it's like kind of a cool find. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you spent 3 hours, you might as well, and you can do, what's the limit? 11 or 13 outposts, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's like, it depends on your levels, but yeah, you're like 12 or something.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, I could.
That could have just been a mulligan, and go build another one somewhere where. That's the nice thing about building an outpost like next to Paradiso or like New Atlantis, right? Is like you have an understanding of where the sun's going to be.
It's funny you say that. I was this close to going, I'm going to New Jemison or Jemison or whatever, and just building right outside of New Atlantis.
Yeah.
I definitely consider that. But I don't know. I think you're right. I think I'm going to lean into this because it might be cool to like just set up tons of lights, like the floodlights and stuff.
I was going to ask you, how are I haven't done any outpost building. Do they have a variety of lights and, are they good?
They have a few. They're okay. The ones that are tall, the lights are very spotlighty. Like it doesn't really flood over a lot. Although I don't have enough materials for a watchtower yet, but as you can sort of pre-place it. The watchtower seems to really light up the ground around it. So
it's like Dark Star. Or was it the 70s sci-fi called Dark Star, I think?
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, speaking of outposts, XF from our Discord posted a really cool crib in our Cribs channel. I wanted to give him a shout out.
Oh yeah.
It's right outside of New Atlantis. You can see New Atlantis in the background. And it's cool looking. Like, it's one of these outposts where it's like, I would love to live there. So shout out to XF. Keep ththose coming in our Cribs channel.
Yeah, I think I love seeing people's outposts and what they've done. And I like ever since I saw the first one of the gameplay trailers for Starfield where they showed the wilderness away from New Atlantis, I just remember thinking, oh yeah, I want to build an outpost outside of the city, and so you can kind of watch the ships coming in from a distance. Yeah, I don't know. I should still do that, but that's the thing is then you get the game and there's so much to do and there's so many choices. It's hard to know what to do first and what to do next.
What you could do first is you could get your very own Terramorph pet.
That's right.
Is that what I'm reading here?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, there are the power. Everyone knows that there's powers in the game. But one of the powers that you can get is alien reanimation. And so this is very Elder Scrolls-esque, but basically if you kill an alien fauna, then you can use this ability to reanimate them. And then they will follow you around. And so it's like a weird little zombie alien pet that you have for a little while because it will eventually die again. But
does it die of natural causes or from just getting crossfire?
Zombiness. I think it's on a timer. It can die of getting shot by enemies, but
you can't
I think
bring
it's
it
also
on your
on
ship,
a timer.
right? Because that'd be awesome.
No, that would be amazing.
Just a Terramorph running around your ship.
I would love,
Freaking Cora
and it's
eating Cora.
Yeah. Finally. She's no longer telling her jokes while you're in the middle of battle. Yeah, so it does work on Terramorph. So, if you're running around on a planet and you want one.
I would like a fox bat
go with you.
Pet. I think I'm going to go pick up the rest of my powers. I have 3 temples that I need to go get the powers from. But yeah. Yeah,
and I still that makes me want to build an outpost on Schrodinger because then you can build if your skill is high enough, you can build that building on your outpost that will actually have those alien fauna sort of hanging around and domesticated in a way.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
To spawn camp XP right there. It's just pump them out and take them down from your guard tower.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it will just spawn at an alarming rate and you just keep mowing them down.
Mhm.
You have XP.
So I had a gameplay experience, a first. I reached a boundary, not on purpose.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
First time ever in the game. I'm
Actually
in
happened.
about 85 hours into the game. And
So how did this happen? Because
yeah,
you must have been like searching for something.
I was like 98% of the planet scanned, and I needed one more fauna. And let me give you one guess where that fauna was.
Was it in the water?
Yes, it was in the water. And the water was highly acidic. And these
Oh
stupid
man.
things, were 50 yards out. You could see, like, sometimes you could catch a glimpse of one,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't really see much. And then I would basically just start shooting all my bullets into the ocean until I would hit one.
Right.
And then I would miraculously kill one,
Yeah.
which would scan it for me, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. You don't have to scan it. You can just kill them. That's right.
That was the only way to
Yep.
get to him, because I died already once, like trying to like swim out there and like scan one real quick, and it's like it killed me pretty quickly.
Isn't it crazy how fast like bad water in this
Yes.
game? Like you just see that, and it's like, oh my god! Like even if you have the heal factor, like the ability where you heal, it doesn't matter because it puts that yellow bar that like blocks you from being healed until you go to sleep.
They really
Yeah.
don't want you in the water
rough.
in this game.
Do not. What are they hiding? What are they hiding down there?
But then they put scannable stuff in there, so it's kind of I
Yeah.
mean, and so anyway, I'm walking along the shoreline for 30, 40 minutes, and
Yep.
just trying to, just every like 10 minutes, I'd finally see one of these, animals that I needed to kill. And what's funny is the type of animal was a flocking, right? So that means there's other ones
Okay.
close by.
Yeah,
and I could
should.
never get more than like one, maybe two at a time, and then nothing else. So I just had to keep walking along the
Man.
shoreline, and that's when I hit the boundary.
Shouldn't they change that text to schooling if it's in the water?
100%.
Come on, Bethesda. I'm just kidding.
It's the details. It's the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things.
So
Someday.
you are missing out on a wanted perk.
So one of the perks when you start a brand new character is called Wanted. So the Wanted perk actually will boost your damage when your health is low. However, bounty hunters are always coming after you. So periodically, like a ship will just fly in, like you'll be doing something else. They'll land and they'll come after you. And I remember thinking that sounded kind of cool, but I didn't want the hassle of it. I also worried about not only like being interrupted, but also like losing your ammo just from too many firefights.
But do you
But
remember in Fallout 3, there was a point in that story where you would exit out of a shop, and there was like 4 gang members that would just spawn right outside the shop because there was a part in the story
Right.
that they were coming after you.
right, yeah, yeah.
It feels
Well,
like that because you're getting bounty
You're
hunters
just
coming
trying to
in
get a
after you.
bagel. Yeah, you're just trying to get a bagel and some coffee, and like then people are out there trying to kill you. Yeah, I mean, and then even Skyrim had that a lot where once you pissed off the right people or the wrong people, they just started sending people after you. And I have to say, like now I'm reading about people talking about the bounty hunters chasing you down to collect, and that made me realize that right now, like in normal gameplay, you have certain factions that you're always killing. And one of them is spacers, one of them is pirates, and then the ecliptic. And this, like, it makes me go, oh my God, this is a fourth group that is sort of like an enemy coming after you. And that actually just sounds really fun.
Starborn. They're not Starborn, are they?
Yeah, they're not Starborn. Yeah. These are just bounty hunters that are coming after you for whatever reason. And I think it's really really good also if you're playing an outlaw character. Like my very first starting character was sort of like an outlaw. I used Space Scoundrel for this character, and they grew up on Neon. So, they're not really responsible for the choices that they've made. But
they have reasons.
I don't know. They're also saying that this wanted perk is an easy way to farm ships, because you've got these enemies that are basically bringing the ship to you periodically. So
that's actually pretty funny, because if you're into ships, or if you like stealing ships, that's a brilliant way to do it. Get the wanted perk at the beginning of the game, and you got people coming after you all the time, landing nearby, and or actually confronting you in space, right? And then you can target them, disable them, and then board them and take over their ship that way, right?
Yeah. And this is something that I've known that you can do it. I just haven't set up my ship with EM weapons. I think that would be really cool to have a ship that it's specifically meant for boarding. So it's you just hit them with tons of EM firepower, disable their ship. I mean, I already I'm leveled up enough in ship combat that I can target their engines, but sometimes you target the engines, but you destroy the ship. So it would be cool to start stealing more ships.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool perks that most of us will probably never play, because once you pick your perks at the beginning of the character creation, then you go and play the game for a long time.
Yep.
And you're never really rolling. I mean, people that like the game, of course, they're going to roll new characters here and there. But even me, I love the game, and I'm still on my first character. So
yeah. Well, and then you've got me. I started another character, and then I realized I want to go back to my other character and just keep leveling up.
Yeah, I watched your gameplay in our last podcast, by the way, and I could see why melee gets a little tiring for you. Again, it's without the powers. That changes the dynamic completely. I think having powers is key for a melee build.
See, yeah, I think you're right, and it does make me think, okay, well, with my leveled up character, I still have the option of approaching those melee, like a melee build with the powers that I've got. Because I am thinking some of the Starborn powers, I think one of them is to sort of jet forward very quickly, and then right after you do that, you're doing more damage. So, I've never really messed with that.
Yeah, actually, someone in our Discord said they were quoting from the movie The Professional, and when Leon is teaching, oh gosh, what's her name?
Natalie Portman.
Thank you. Knife is the thing you learn last, something along those lines, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I think about these traits. You made a good point. Most people are going to play one character. They're not going to experiment with all the traits. And the thing is, there are traits. So there are ways to get rid of those traits in a game.
Right.
So, for instance, my character, I had introvert as a trait, and then I wanted to get rid of it. So you can actually go to this therapist or not therapist, but something like that in the well, and he'll talk to you.
It's
and
the total
remove
recall
that trait.
mind wipe.
Yeah. So there are ways to get rid of these traits, but I hope Bethesda adds ways to take on those traits, because
I agree.
It would be nice to have this, level 100 plus character and say, well, wait a minute. What if I was a good character first, but now, I got up to so much, so many shenanigans, maybe I would be wanted at certain point. There should be something you do. Maybe this would be cool. Let's say you don't have all three traits, and then you get a bounty on you that's so high. Now that trait gets added to your character against your will, which that's the way it should be. If you're getting a bounty, boom, people should be coming after you.
Yeah, those chance shenanigans could really change your character traits.
He's going to love that. He's going to love that shout out.
This is totally random and non sequitur, but did you know you can play Starfield on a Samsung TV?
So actually, yes, I is it through the Game Pass app?
It is,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Samsung, I guess, has this like exclusive sort of partnership with, Game Pass and Microsoft, and it's all through the cloud, which is very interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, walk me through how this works technically. Because my TV does not
Yeah.
have an NVIDIA or an AMD. Is there a computer somewhere sitting in a barge off the coast of San Francisco that
Right. Yeah.
has a graphics card, is playing the
It's
game, and
actually
then
it's on Alcatraz Island. It's in the prison there. Yeah.
what's weird is we have one of those giant facilities here, and it is futuristic. Like you drive by and it's got all this cool red lighting and it looks like a prison. I mean, the security is Fort Knox over there.
And what are you talking about? Like
it's right off, it's like Durango
like a
and
server?
215. It's basically like a server farm. It's
Oh,
like a cloud
okay.
farm. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, from what I understand, so Xbox has their Azure servers, but they also have a bunch of like Series X's hooked up to this thing. And so when you connect through xCloud, it will basically log you into one of these Series
Interesting.
X's.
Okay.
And then you have your controls, and so you're controlling it from,
God,
remotely.
you're telling me this is not laggy at all? Have you tried this?
No, it is. It is.
All right. Okay. That makes me feel better.
But yeah. So it's laggy, but sometimes it's really like pretty doable. I think certain games work pretty well with it. So one of the games that only runs on Series X and doesn't run on, like, let's say the Xbox One. So Xbox One is last gen, but you have access to xCloud. So what's pretty awesome is if you don't have a Series X, you can still play Starfield through Game Pass Cloud. You can still play, a game like Microsoft Flight Simulator. So you can play games like Flight Simulator. So Flight Simulator, great example of something to play on xCloud, because you're just up in the sky, you're sort of admiring the view. It's not Street Fighter. You don't need like these perfect twitch controls, and timing and all that.
Right.
So I think certain games lend itself better than others.
And if you're flying a United Boeing 737, I mean, the front tire is probably going to fly off and hit a car. So
Did that happen?
yeah, that recently happened.
I-
It wasn't the front. It was
Oh,
like
no.
one of the back tires just literally like came off as it was like taking off and like
Oh,
landed on the
no.
car.
Dude, holy
And
crap.
I mean, this tire is like, 1,000 pounds. It's a big tire.
Oh, yeah. It's like
think coming
it's
down
like
is-
as big as the car as itself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, so I think Game Pass Cloud is pretty impressive. So it's like, it's still, yeah, you wouldn't want to play anything where you need a lot of control. But for instance, okay, so let's say you play on your Series X while you're doing missions where you're going after pirates and stuff. So it's like, you don't want lag. You've got perfect control, kill, collect your bounty. But then let's say you have to travel for work. You can't take your Series X with you. You have some time, between meetings, whatever. You can actually pull up xCloud and, you still want to play Starfield? Great. Why don't you do some Outpost building? Why don't you go talk to people? Like there's certain things in the game that translate very well to cloud-based gaming.
Yeah, that's actually very cool. And that makes total sense.
I think that what's interesting about like all the different variety in Starfield is I had this weird thought the other day where I thought like sometimes the game can feel small, but only because you yourself are doing the same things over and over again. It's like, oh, I like to do this thing. Oh, it's getting repetitive. And like, I thought like the game's not small. I'm small. Like the thoughts and my possibilities are small, because as soon as I start doing something else, I go, oh wow, I keep forgetting that there's a lot to this game. It's just it's not stuff that I want to do right away. So
It almost
I
has
didn't
the
get on
reverse
it.
effect to where there are so many possibilities that you get overwhelmed and you're like, okay, I'm just going to stick to this particular thing that I'm doing, which is to fly to a planet, go to the nearest POI, destroy everything there, collect some loot, and then go back to my ship.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind
Yeah.
of an easy thing to do. But the reality is there's, like you said, there are a million things that you can do. So I think, yeah, it's important to take a step back and say, hey, let me try something completely different this time. Or I always imagine a video game when I was a kid, always trying to test the limits of the game. What can I do?
Yeah.
What will the game let me do? Where can I go? Where can I explore? And, with Starfield, it's a big space to explore.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of limits to test. And actually, and so before we even got on, I was talking about how I believe that Starfield, it's a great game, but potentially it could be an even greater hub. And
Right.
I saw like a post saying, I would love to see an expansion on hauling, like just being a space trucker, shipping stuff and hauling and cargo.
Right.
And this game clearly, like you can clearly see how they would set up sort of a platform that will be revisited later.
It's like a Tinker Toy. Remember Tinker Toys where
Yeah.
you had a sprocket in the middle and then you could put like sticks into that wheel thing and create another like satellite over here.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, it feels like a Lego base plate. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that could be added and the possibilities are endless. How many we'll get from Bethesda, that's,
Yeah.
remains to be seen. But I mean, modders, there's a lot of them out there.
Well, okay, so like I've already played the hell out of Skyrim, right? And I got the anniversary edition, so I played a ton of like the extra stuff that came in Creation Club. Recently, I saw a new Creation Club downloadable mission that has got me thinking like, oh, I might have to play Skyrim again.
Right.
Because what it is it's you work for this like shipping company, so back to shipping, in the world of Skyrim, where you start going to all of the cities in Skyrim and like you either have to convince them, like if you're good at speech, or you have to like buy your way in or whatever. You have to convince these cities to let you place a trading hub in that city. And what's cool is you'll do missions for these trading hubs and they'll actually grow. You can see them change and get bigger.
Your service is called Fed Excalibur.
Oh, man. That's good. That's
Thanks.
a good one. I like that. Yeah, essentially, like, not only that, but you know how everyone, like, complains about gathering a bunch of, like, stuff in a dungeon and then trying to sell it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is totally new to this, like, Creation Club DLC. You can gather stuff up and then just drop it off at your employee, like who's working that trading hub.
Nice.
And they will sell stuff slowly over time. And you can just come back. It's basically you drop off loot and then just come back later and they're like, oh, here's how much I've sold. And then you just collect the money.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
is that an official DLC for Skyrim, or is that like a mod that somebody made just...
So it's Creation Club. So it's basically somebody else did it, but it is lore friendly. It has the seal of approval by Skyrim,
Right.
And it's treated as DLC. So it does not like disable achievements. It's basically
it's
vetted.
free.
No, it's not free.
Oh, it's not free. Okay.
It's not
How
free.
much is it?
So I want to say it's like $7. Like to me,
It's
totally
usually
worth
under
it.
$10 for one of these types of deals, right?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Man, I'd love to get back into modding because it's really, really fun. If you're into video games and you're into creating, I would encourage, if you're into Starfield and if you want to try it, I mean, why not? Try to make a mod.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier and easier as technology improves, and the resources now are so easy to access. So
I will say I know nothing about modding, And Starfield is one of the first times where I'm, and with what you're saying, I'm kind of feeling like, man, I should give it a shot. Like there might be something I really want to do.
Yeah.
And these people, this small team that made that DLC for Skyrim that I just talked about, they're working on, like they said, they're very excited because they made money from this mod that they created for Creation Kit.
Right.
And they're taking that money and they're working on another mod for Skyrim that's going to expand the Bard's College. So like if you want to be a bard in the game, like that's something that doesn't exist yet.
What's also cool is the people on that team, say there's like 4 or 5 people, they have now worked with the creation engine. Guess what? Starfield is the creation engine too.
Exactly.
A lot of it's built on the same core methodologies. Because I remember I modded a game that used, what was it? It doesn't matter, but they came out with a sequel and they had a new set of tools, but everything was just basically the exact same. So we were making levels before the actual official way to release the levels became available. Yeah, I could see people making them.
To your point, the creators of this mod said that they are very excited to see what they can do with Starfield because they like, and this is from a modder's perspective, they really feel like the doors that are open to them in Starfield are so much more than Skyrim. And it's very clear. Starfield, you look at, like, you go to, craft your weapons. Yeah. And there's that slot for skins. And like only 2 or 3 of the weapons in the game even have skins. And someone might look at that and go, why do they even have that as an option? Because they're building.
I think I paid $99 for one of those skins. Didn't we get a skin when we bought the deluxe edition on PC?
Yeah, there was like a Mars. Yeah, there was a Mars something skin. And also there's, for one of the either deluxe or the pre-order, there's actually a really cool constellation skin for one of the laser weapons.
I got to go get that.
Yeah, I think it's the Equinox, I think is the name of the rifle. And actually that actually makes me want to go get an Equinox and make that my main gun. Even though that's not my favorite gun, the constellation skin for it is so cool looking. I'll get one, put the skin and I'll take pictures and put it in our Discord. Yeah. But we should wrap up, right? And we should shout out that Discord, because if you're not in the Discord, there is a link in the description of this podcast that you can click on.
Yes, indeed.
And join. Can I just be rude for like 2 seconds? I'm going to say something really mean.
I guess.
I am getting so annoyed when I go on Starfield subreddit. I just see the same stuff every day. It's either complaints or it's the same questions. It's all of that. I have kind of stopped going to Reddit for Starfield stuff. I only go to our Discord because the Discord, the people there, it is great conversation about the game. So if you are tired of the same old annoying stuff that's out there on like Reddit and YouTube, click on our Discord link, because it is like a fun party. It's like a fun Starfield themed party over there.
We're just 2 guys having a good time, having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the vibe.
Yeah,
that's the vibe we're putting out.
The same thing on YouTube. Like, they're still dropping videos. I saw like 3 new thumbnails this week. Same old.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the titles, but negative videos basically. So
Rage Bay gets clicks. Yep.
Absolutely.
In fact, so we're gonna start doing that. Look for our gameplay series coming up called Spider-Man 2 is the worst game ever made. Yeah. It's gonna be a real banger.
Hey, we have companions on our Patreon. Should we give them a quick shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out our companions over on our Patreon. Over at Patreon, you can actually get ad-free episodes. You can get them early so you can hear them before everyone else. We also have bonus episodes. We're doing one every month. And we've got coming up, we're going to be doing live hangouts with our companions. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on over at Patreon. And I want to shout out our companions. Who are Our companions are Space Cadet 829, Rampage American X, Cherry Bomb RN, Griffin, Ben Price, and Zegra Rocks.
Yeah, I'm glad you said those names, Michael, because these are the people I would choose to go explore space with personally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I also want to shout out 2 brand new booster members on our Patreon. So we've got Jorah's Grayscale and Casey Schultz. Thank you so much for the support, and stay tuned because we got a lot of fun things planned coming up.
Yep, and thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
And an extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, we love to hear it, and you can leave a comment on our YouTube page, come to our Discord, whatever works for you.
Yeah, people mostly comment on our YouTube page, mostly.
Yeah. Mostly.
If you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would really help us out.
Yes, thank you for traveling the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we will be back for more next week.
See ya.